This is Spoiler Country, a podcast about comics, movies, whatever, but mostly comics. Enjoy.
Previously on Spoiler Country.
Okay, welcome back to Spoiler Country. I'm Kenric, and that's Johnny Horsley over there. And today we're live, bitches, live. Going down through the MixLR. It's going to be a fun ride. This is episode 50. Can you believe that? 50.
Big 5-0.
Yeah, we started in July on July 2nd, and we're already at episode 50. That's nuts.
That's insane.
That is insane.
I'm still flabbergasted for the fact that we actually did this live thing. I mean, kidding me? We're doing a live show. It's awesome.
That's one way to put it. Blah.
Right?
So how was your Christmas?
Dude, my Christmas was good, but it was also kind of weird at the same time.
Why?
So it was good because all the kids had fun and, you know, the kids got gifts they liked and all that kind of fun stuff. But it was weird because, like, we ended up going seeing a movie for Christmas. We saw Star Wars, which is not normal for us. We don't usually go see movies. And, like, everybody left and we didn't have Christmas dinner. Like, our Christmas dinner was our Panda Express lunch. Like, we didn't do a bunch of Christmas stuff. We bought a ham. We didn't make, it was just, it felt off. And I mean, I don't know. The kids had fun though. So that's good.
Wasn't, well, because a lot of it was not planned out very much. Like,
it was planned out, just people flaked.
How was it planned out? When was it planned out?
Like, it was planned out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't think the plans got to you in time.
Yeah. It wouldn't have mattered anyways. It snowed. We had a white Christmas, which was rare.
Yeah, it snowed. You couldn't have made it down anyways.
No. It was kind of funny. In my head, I remember there being more white Christmases growing up, but apparently not. Apparently a white Christmas dictates that at least 1 inch of snow fell that day. And that has only happened 3 times in 100 years for the Seattle area, which is nuts. And the time before yesterday was like 2009 or 2008. And then the time before that was 1926. So, God, it's weird.
I thought I could have swore I've had them before, but no.
Right.
No, it was cool. It was fun. I mean, the kids played in the snow.
Yep.
We played, we threw snowballs. It was fun. We didn't build a snowman, but whatever.
We built a snowman, and it's so funny because throughout the day it kept leaning back. And then I took a picture of it this morning. It's literally more than a 45-degree angle leaning back. And it's hilarious looking.
Oh,
it looks a little phallic now because it's got this big base and then it's leaning back just the right way. And it's just kind of funny. It's like, oh, that's hilarious. But that was cool because I got to watch Ella and Tafine make snow angels in the snow. And then we had a big snowball fight. And, Ella got way too many toys. She got all the stuff she wanted. Lots of
the kids get spoiled,
stuff.
Man. Our kids got too much shit.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous. But I got some cool stuff. I got a windscreen from a microphone, uber geeky, and I got some new headphones and all that fun stuff. So it was good. It was a good one. It was just weird not seeing my mom, but I think she went over to your house, right?
Yeah, she was here, they got here, like your mom and Kaylee's brother and stuff got here at like 7:30. We opened gifts and then we went and saw the movie, and then your mom took a nap, and then when we got back to the movie, she went home with Kyle.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, it
just was weird.
Probably worried about
bad.
Getting
it was
stuck
just different.
Though.
Yeah.
What are you doing? I can hear you clicking and typing over there.
Oh, I'm just posting it out to the socials to say we're live to everybody, so everybody knows we're live. I'll be done in a second. I'm just getting on Twitter and Facebook. I know you can probably hear my typing and clicking, but it'll stop in a second for those who are listening.
That's all I hear.
No, I just wanted to make sure people out there who were listening knew that we were, doing stuff.
Right.
So
right.
So we're live on our website, we're live on MixLR, and we're live on Twitch right now. So we're live on 3 places. So that's awesome.
Wow, that's awesome. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what was your
it's incredible for a no budget setup.
Right? No budget, nobody's listening, just a few people, and it's I love it.
We definitely got Casey listening. Casey from Comic Jam is listening. So what's up, Casey? Thanks for joining.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. So how was Star Wars? I know you want to do like a whole episode.
I don't want to say anything because
just say it. I don't care.
You haven't seen it yet. I don't want to spoil it for you or anybody listening because it's a pretty big thing.
It's a pretty big. I just asked you how you liked it. Not you don't have to go into details.
I don't know how I liked it. That's the problem. I don't know how I feel about it yet.
Why?
All I'll say. So I walked out of episode 7 and I walked out of Rogue One going, God, that was a good movie. That was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I walked out of this going, what the fuck did I just watch?
Really? Interesting.
Yeah.
Different.
I can't say I hate it because I didn't hate it. I can't say I loved it because I didn't love it. But it's just like I watched it and it's not bad, but it's also not great. And I'm like, I have so many thoughts I want to talk about it on the podcast, but you haven't seen it yet. And I'm trying to save it all up. I've talked to some people about it and like, I don't know. It's just like there's a lot of things you can say about this movie, good and bad. And ultimately, I think it comes down to they added a bunch of new stuff and they had a bunch of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Yet it still felt like there wasn't enough stuff. Like it's a weird mixture of too much stuff, yet not enough of the right stuff.
Not enough of the right stuff, huh? They didn't watch that movie.
Right.
That's it. That's interesting because we already recorded next episode and we have a long talk about Star Wars and how we both kind of feel about it. And it's kind of funny because we're kind of in a small group of people that like it but don't fall over for it. I guess that's the way to say it.
Yeah, like I mean, my problem is I get obsessed, not obsessed, but I get into things as I watch them.
Obsessed is a good word.
I may not be a big Star Wars fan. Yeah, well, but I may not be obsessed with Star Wars, but when I watch Star Wars, I get into Star Wars and I want to know and learn about it all. So when I watch something new, I try and learn as much as I can about it for that one time, but then I'll move on to something else, you know?
Huh.
So, you know, I've researched a bunch of Star Wars stuff, a bunch of Star Wars lore and stuff that's like happening and not happening, but I haven't watched the movies 1,000 times, you know, I haven't watched a bunch of stuff 1,000 times, just the movies when they come out and I watch them with my kids. And then, but while I'm watching, I'm like, oh, is this canon? Does that work? Does this work? You know, stuff like that.
Is this
so
canon?
I don't know.
That's good. You know, I asked you the other day about the whole swamp thing and if all of the Alan Moore stuff is basically retconned, and you said yes, which is shocking to me because he retconned the original stuff for Swamp Thing that Bernie writes in is it Lin Wayne? Is it Lin Wayne?
Lin Wayne,
yeah.
Yeah,
It did.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he retconned it and created a bunch of stuff, but his stuff was canon for a really long time, right?
Right. Well, I just meant more like the retconning of the Justice League Dark back into Swamp Thing and stuff. Yeah. So I mean,
but that doesn't really.
If they consider that to be the first appearance,
but I'm talking more like his history, the way, you know, because Alan Moore went into a whole thing on how he mates and everything. You know what I mean? He put in a lot of work. Moore. Yeah. Well, yeah, but he did put a lot of work into the character, and it was pretty much
right. No, he did.
What was, you know, the Swamp Thing Bible, I guess you could say. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. I was when you said they're retconning it. I was like, what? No fucking way. But apparently, you know, maybe because we had the whole conversation with the Justice League Dark, and is that?
Yeah, it came out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. We need to have a conversation about that. What does constitute the first appearance of a group, of a super group?
Yeah, that's a good
quote
question.
Unquote.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of follows it follows the same lines, but I still, I mean, we're kind of jumping topics here, and that's fine. But
that's what we always do.
I feel that
we talk Star Wars. And you don't want to talk about it. I feel that
the Justice League one is very much right. Well, I do want to talk about it, but you haven't seen it yet, so. I can't say specifics. You'd be like, I don't know what that means. It'll just be me talking about Star Wars for an hour. I don't want that.
Well, I'll go see it this weekend, and then we'll talk about it. I'm excited to see it. I love The Force Awakens. I thought that was great, and I absolutely loved Rogue One.
Yeah.
So I'm
I
dug
excited
Rogue One
to
so
see
much. It. So now it piques my interest that you're like what the fuck did I just watch? Because it's a different director,
right?
It's not. It's not what's his name.
No, it's not J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
It's Rian Johnson.
God, J.J. Abrams.
Yeah.
That fucker restarted Star Trek and Star Wars. That is nuts.
Right? They should just, and he's doing episode 9, which I'm happy about. And it's, again, I didn't hate episode 8. You know, I didn't dislike it. I didn't hate it, but I'm conflicted. Like, I want to see it again to make a better opinion about it.
Right. Do you learn more about who her parents are and all that kind of stuff? Or do you not want to say? Is that too much spoiler?
I'll tell you if you want me to tell you, but...
Well, it's a yes or no question. Do you learn more about her parents?
Yes? Question mark?
You're like...
yes, question mark, ...
Maybe?
Like, so the thing is, if you see
Star
the
Wars
movie,
swap
there's no way. Hold on.
Supergroups right back to Star Wars. Nice
Right?
roadmap.
Well, the thing is, that question, I can't answer that question without giving a spoiler. The only way to answer that question without being a spoiler would be saying yes, question mark, because any answer is a spoiler to that at all.
Perhaps.
You know? Yeah. Perhaps. I don't know.
Maybe. Well, that's cool. I want to see it. I'm going to go this weekend and checked it out. I mean, I saw...
We'll do an episode about
I
it.
saw Force Awakens in like opening day. I didn't even know. You know, what's kind of funny is I tried to avoid opening day because, you know, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, I guess it was exactly like 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that.
And
Yeah. 2015.
yeah, I tried to avoid it because, you know, of the crowds. And I didn't want to sit, you know,
Yeah.
I don't like doing that. I don't like seeing I mean, I love seeing a movie on opening day if it's possible, especially ones I want to watch. But now with the amount of crowds and everything,
suck.
It just makes me mad. Mostly because I don't want to hear people talking in the theater.
Yeah.
I freaked out this one time on Lord of the Rings. Because I saw the Lord of the Rings like 3 times, I think, in the theater. And at one time, it was, you know, I saw it like 3 weeks later and it was still packed, right? And I'm sitting all the way on the right side. It's one of those theaters that had 3 rows. You know what I mean? A right, middle, and a left. And so when you're sitting all the way to the right, you're like way over. You're already in an uncomfortable position to look at the screen because we're already too close and then way over to the right. You know? So you're constantly looking left.
Yeah.
And these teenagers behind me would not shut up talking. And they weren't even talking about the movie. They were just talking about what they're going to do tonight. And it was just like, oh my God, you have to shut up. I already spent way too much money to be here. It's freaking overcrowded. I'm in shitty seats, and now I got to deal with you talking. And the guy was like, well, this that's what I said. I turned around and said all of that. Like, I was so mad. And then the guy goes, well, this fucking sucks. And the people above them started clapping. Because they totally think. You know what's funny? The first time I saw that movie, I'm kind of rambling here, but the first time I saw Lord of the Rings was me and my buddy James Witt, and we saw it at the Cinerama, right? And it was like the third or
Oh, it's a good theater.
Down in Seattle. It's like the third or the fourth day it was open, but it was like in the middle of the day on a work day and a school day, right? Well, I guess it wasn't a school day because that was the summer movie, wasn't it?
Because you weren't in school.
I don't remember, but it was in the middle of the work day.
I don't know.
So we go up, and I'm like, hey, I told the guy, is it packed? And the guy's like, no, we still have like 60% of the theater left. I'm like, cool. And I looked at my buddy, and I'm like, hey, you want to go? He's like, yeah. So we go in, and it's right at the beginning where it's really dark, right? And they're doing the whole thing, and it's like they're talking about Gollum in the cave, and it's super dark. You cannot see. There is no lights on in the theater at all, okay? And so so the Cinerama has 2 big sections, right? The back section and the front section. And of course, you want to sit in the back section so you're farther away from the screen because the screen's ginormous. So I start walking against the first row, right? And I'm trying to find my way, like trying to find an empty seat, and I can kind of see somebody, and then I don't see anything. And I put my hand down to find the seat, and it was somebody's face, dude. I totally pawed their face. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then I go a couple seats over, and I go to sit down, and I sit on some lady's lap. I'm like, oh my God. I finally just like ran to the right side of the theater and just fucking waited. And then finally the big scene of the mountains, and it all goes to light, and I can see, and that fucking thing's like 90% full. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Right. And you're like, fuck, I just sat on someone's, God damn it. Well, at least you made that viewing memorable for them, right? They'll never forget that movie.
Right? Like, this dude totally sat in my lap. He pawed my face. I was like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. But at the same time, I was cracking up because it was like, you know, total accident, and it was completely innocent.
That's funny. That's funny shit, man.
Kate,
I remember going to see a movie.
you see Casey's response?
When I went and saw.
Nearly didn't go on another date with my wife. Answering your phone
because she answered her phone during Lord of the Rings. Right.
I had my ex-wife's.
Yeah, man. I went and saw.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was say when I went and saw Men in Black, like talking in theater.
Yeah.
I went with my buddy Calvin, who anybody who's read my comics over the last 13 years, 16 years, whatever it's been, Calvin's a character in my comics. Calvin in my Joan the Only comics. He's very much an outspoken dude. So in real life, we went and saw Men in Black, and he met me there. Like, he got late. Like, the movie had already started, and he's like, "Where are you gonna be?" I'm like, "Just come in and find me. You'll find me. I usually sit in the same spot." But he just like walks in and goes, "Horsley," and he starts like yelling my name over and over again until I finally answer him.
You're like,
I'm like,
"Shut
dude,
up."
shut up. I'm right here. Like, God, you're embarrassing me. Stop.
Dude, that's nothing. When Batman, the original movie, not the original movie, but the movie that came out in 1990 or 89 or whatever, I saw that movie like a bunch of times, right? Because we just lived up the street from Redwood Plaza. So I was less than a quarter mile from a movie theater. And so we just walked down and see movies all the time. So one time my mom went to she went to another movie that like Out of Africa or something that was playing at the same time, right? I don't know what it was. I just pulled another movie out of my ass. But she went and saw her movie, and I went and saw Batman. Well, her movie ended like 45 minutes before Batman ended, right?
Oh, jeez.
Because mine started a little later and everything.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in the front row because it's packed. She comes waltzing in to the theater, comes all the way down, and says, "It's time to go. We got to go." I was like, well, wait,
and you're
what?
like, "Nope."
She totally
But we're watching a movie. What are you
pulled me
talking
out
about?
of Batman. I was like, this cannot be happening. I mean, I'd seen it like a bunch of times, so it wasn't the end of the world, but at the same time it was, because my mom was in the theater telling me we got to go, and it was like, you've got to be kidding me.
Right. Like, no, this sucks.
That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, it wasn't hilarious. It was kind of embarrassing. Well,
kind of. That's hella embarrassing, man.
So there's our movie talk, man.
I'm embarrassed for you.
Yeah, it was, dude.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Nice little very random. We should probably nail down a topic here and do some questions, like make this an actual episode versus just us bullshit. I mean, that's what we do anyways, but I don't know. We have questions.
We do have.
We might want to go to them some
Yeah,
point.
we do have questions, and there are actually some interesting ones, some not so interesting ones. I'm not going to say which ones are not, but they're on there.
Look, all questions are interesting in their own right. Okay, we have questions and we're going to answer
somebody
them.
asked them. That's right. Somebody asked them.
It's right.
But one of the things I do want to, I kind of want to nail down, because we've talked about this. We came up with rules of what makes a first appearance, and I think we got it pretty good, right?
We did.
Now with Swamp Thing number 50 and people reacting to that Justice League Dark movie's coming out at some point, we'll wait and see, since Justice League quote unquote tanked in the theater, which I don't think it tanked. I think that's just the industry trying to they're trying to create your own perception of something, but whatever. But that does make Warner Brothers once bitten, twice shy. So we don't know if we're going to get a Justice League Dark movie, and I hope we do, because that would be amazing and fun, So hopefully it happens. But whatever, right? But there is still a lot of good vibes going on with Justice League Dark in the comic book realm. The number one keeps going up, which is a great investment. Well, it's a good comic book to collect.
It's a great read too, man.
It's a fun read. But now
it's really fun. The whole first volume is fun.
It's not come to light. Everybody knew about this, that read Swamp Thing for a long time, but number 50 actually has the core Justice League Dark team all together fighting as one unit against an evil force. So they don't call themselves Justice League Dark. They're not labeled Justice League Dark. Well, they don't go on and do other adventures later on. And it was 30 years ago.
Yeah. And they don't. Well, to be fair, they don't call themselves Justice League Dark in the Justice League Dark comic either.
No, I guess not. They don't go, "Hey, we're the Justice League Dark."
Exactly. They don't say Justice League Dark. It's just the name of the comic book. The team never has a name. They're just a bunch of people who work together. At least in the volume that I read, they may have named them later on. I think they do say Justice League Dark, like during the Justice League Dark, Justice League of America crossover event in the mid-20s issues.
Yeah.
But they never call themselves, "Hi, I'm Don Constantine from Justice League Dark." They never do that shit.
See my card. Oh, you're from the Dark Division.
Yeah. Justice League, Dark Division. Defenses Against the Dark Side. How you doing today?
So, but it's interesting. Okay, so, but DC never saw them or labeled them. Let's say that. DC never labeled them.
Yeah.
But now people are like, hey, that can be constituted as their first appearance, and that book is starting to slowly move up. But is it the first appearance of Justice League Dark? Do they have to have, does the writer, does the editors, the people, the creations of it has to have that in mind? Like it just happened, like Swamp Thing 50 just kind of happened, right? Was it a conscious decision to put these people together to form a quote unquote super group? Because if they did, wouldn't they had moved on with them at some point as well? But they didn't.
You would think so. It's a retconning first appearance because it's, in my opinion, I'm torn because I feel it fits and yet doesn't fit.
Right.
Because it fits the same way that the What If Jane Foster fits, right? It's an idea from 30 years ago that another writer later on took and evolved.
But I think the What If thing is completely different because that is not in line with the universe at all. Where this is.
No, that's where I'm going with this. It is different. This is within universe. However, it wasn't the intent of the writer and the creators who did that issue 50 to make a Justice League Dark team. But does that really matter? Because they're not. There's been lots of writers who've taken ideas and moved on with them after the fact and made it into something. Right. So honestly, I think it counts. I think if somebody takes an idea 30 years down the road, you're continuing an idea that was their original. That it's not a new thought, right? It's a taking an idea and making it your own or making it better. So I think it counts. I think it would count.
Do you think the writer who developed that at the beginning makes a difference? Like if it's somebody that's written 10 comic books and then didn't make a name for themselves, like whatever, or do you think because it's Alan Moore that makes it that credence some weight to the idea that that's the original incarnations of Justice League Dark? Does that make sense?
Not at all. No, not at all. I don't think the writer matters. I think the idea in the comic book.
I'm glad you said that because I feel the same way.
There and being solidified.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I was just wondering though because sometimes somebody won't take an idea seriously unless it comes from certain people.
Which is stupid. That discounts new writers and new ideas from people who aren't established, and that you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I think if you have an idea that's good, your idea is good, whether you're an established writer or not, whether you're first in the league or you're the best that's been out in 20 years, you're still a writer, you're still a creator, you're still making content, and if that content is good enough for somebody down the road to pick up and modify and make better or make it new, then your idea was solid and good no matter who you were.
Can you name any writers that only had a limited run that didn't do anything? Like you can name a ton of good writers, right? That has gone, like Chris Claremont, right? Probably the greatest X-Men writer of all time, right?
I am so excited to see him at Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah, I could still go back and read Chris Claremont runs and be excited and be like, wow, this guy was so good,
I know. I'm trying to figure out how I can read the entire X-Men run of his, or at least the core of it before Comic-Con.
Yeah, man. Okay. What is like 20 years or 25 years of books?
Hey, look,
when did he start?
I want to read late 70s.
No, before that, right? Because he was the Giant Size X-Men #1 was Chris Claremont, right?
Oh yeah, 74.
That was 74,
right?
And I think he had a few books before they did that with the original lineup, right? Didn't he start with the original lineup?
No, there was no books. So X-Men issues
it got discontinued.
60 through 93 are all reprints.
Oh, that's right. That's right. But they didn't start off on. Did they restart on number? They did the Giant Size X-Men #1, and then after that it was 94.
Yep, 94 was the first new issue in 30 issues or something like that.
Wow. And then did you just look it up? Does it say when Chris Claremont actually started? Because he did other things.
I'm looking up right now.
Yeah, he did other things too, right? He didn't just do X-Men.
Oh yeah, he did a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
It just X-Men is the biggest thing he's known for, and he's an amazing writer. Again, I'm super excited to see him at Emerald City Comic Con. I kind of wish I wouldn't have given you that the Giant Size X-Men #1 to get signed by him.
Oh. Well, I was a huge I still am a huge X-Men fan.
But I'm still happy. I'm still happy I gave it to you. I was like, oh, I wish I had something like that to get signed by him.
Yeah, I got. You know what I have? I have the Dark Phoenix, the one where she's holding up the X-Men sign or the logo, and she's crushing it. Mm-hmm. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
It's really iconic.
Yep. Oh, I know that
can't
one. That's a good
remember.
one.
I just picked that one up not too long ago. I'm going to try to get that one signed by him.
So his first X-Men credit was he received a plot assist credit for X-Men 59, written by Roy Thomas in August of 1969.
Wow, because Roy Thomas must have went on to do Conan not too long after that.
Right, and he went on to do X-Men with Dave Cockrum in 1975. Was when he did the Giant Size and took over as writer. He took over at 94 when they stopped doing the reprints.
So did he do the Giant Size X-Men? Was that Cockrum?
Yeah.
Oh wait, isn't there a whole thing where Cockrum got fired and they brought in him to do a to finish up something? The one that he got part credit on. Like Cockrum left after that. He got fired, and literally they called him into the office and had Claremont take over for that book. And now there was like a big bunch of animosity about it.
Cockrum did the art. Cockrum did the art. Lin Wayne did the story for Giant Size.
Maybe what am I thinking of?
Yeah, what do you think of? Because Claremont didn't work on Giant Size. Claremont pinned the stories after that.
Yeah, so from 94 on.
I think so.
So
yeah.
he didn't do Giant Size 1.
This is why doing pre-research sometimes is good. Right now we're just talking out of our ass, saying things we don't know.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting. I mean, the whole thing is interesting. There is a story where he like takes over writing for somebody. Oh no, you know what that was from? Yeah, that was Mike Grell talking about that at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yeah,
that's what that was. That's what I'm thinking of. Sorry, totally different writer. Never mind. Ignore me.
Nope. Yeah. So what happened is Claremont Giant Size came out. Claremont continued the story into 94. So Claremont took over with 94 with Dave Cockrum as the penciler.
Oh, that's interesting.
And Lin Wayne, who wrote Giant Size, was the editor of the comic. That's what it was.
Oh, nice. That's
see if we research before. Well, it'd be hard to research what we're doing beforehand because we don't know what the fuck we're talking about beforehand. So
not today. Hard. Yeah, we didn't really want to outline something because it's been a long month. It's been a weird month. It
has been, man. It's been long and it's been interesting.
But the point of that story is that Chris Claremont's going to be at Emerald City Comic-Con, and I'm getting my X-Men signed.
I'm going to buy an X-Men to get something signed by him. I don't actually own a single X-Men
But then
comic,
I have to struggle with, do I get it slabbed or not to slab? Part of me when it's come to its nature, I just like to keep it, because then there's no question that's who it is.
Yeah.
And I don't want people saying, oh, it's not.
But I have no intention of... I'd have no intention of selling it, but then again, when you're older and you die and you pass it on, your kids don't want to have to worry about. I know it's a hard question because I always I like to open up my old books and look at them and read them too.
Well, I don't intend on selling anything. You know what I mean? I don't. Everything I've bought and I still have for the last few years. Everything else was a 14-year hiatus, so that don't count.
Right.
But everything that I started
a lot of the books
I'll never sell.
Yeah. A lot of the books that I have right now, I won't sell. I do have I think I have a box or two of just trade stuff that I've picked up over the last year. But most stuff I have is stuff from my dad or stuff that I've read and stuff from my dad. I plan to read the ones I haven't read yet because I really feel that if you buy comics, you should freaking read them. Yeah, definitely. That's the whole point.
You know what? I was listening to the Ben Templesmith episode, right? Because that was just a fun episode. And anybody who's listening, if you haven't,
it was great.
Listened to our Ben Templesmith interview, it is one of the funnest ones you'll listen to. It really is. That guy is hilarious. But he goes blasphemy. You said a bad word, and I was like, and I got confused because you said collecting, and I was like, well, yeah, because it's a passion of mine to do that, but I didn't say that.
Right.
He goes, well, did you even at least read them? And I said no, and that's not what I thought he was saying. Something I don't know what he was saying, and so now I'm like, he's probably going out there. What a dick! This guy doesn't even read the comic books he's talking about. And I'm like, fuck, that's all I do.
Right. Well, I remember that too. I was like, wait, what did he just say? You don't read
Yeah.
them? Like he just the whole point. Whatever.
Yeah,
Let it slide.
yeah. I was just like,
So because I know you read. I know you read more than you collect. You know, and
Yeah.
I mean, we do collect. We both collect, but I'm a firm believer in you should read what you collect. You should enjoy it some way.
oh yeah, I read
If
everything
you're
I
buying
buy.
comic books and collecting them and not reading them, it's like, well, I don't know. Some people buy them. I'm torn. Like people buy them for investment, which I understand, but I'm a lover of the medium as like the stories they tell, not just the value and what they can increase to. You know, it's a double-edged sword.
Right? But it's just like I read everything, and I don't know. I felt like after I was like listening to it, I was like, oh fuck, did I seriously just say that? Oh my god.
So now that we're 30 minutes into this live broadcast, we should say now that we're gonna swear. So I'm sorry ahead of time. And anything we talk about there can and will be spoilers for. So if you don't want to hear spoilers, just plug your ears and go la 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 until we're done.
Yeah, yeah. So
Because we didn't say that up front, so I'm just saying it now.
so I'm going to read some questions here for you.
Okay.
We got some questions in.
Do you want to do these back and forth? Do you want to do them back and forth,
It
or
doesn't matter to me. If you know, I'm just going to start from the top and work
Okay,
our way
fine.
down.
we should say who they're from too, so we can just shout whoever asks questions.
Yeah, so this one's from Death Invictus, and if you listen to our show, you hear Death Invictus every time you listen to our show. He's the guy that does our initial our introduction.
Yep, he's our Aussie friend who did our intro for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, and he's a great guy. He's willing to do more for us, so we'll probably expand on that introduction here pretty soon. So,
And someday we'll have him on the show to talk comics.
And this is-
'cause he reads a lot of comics.
and this is kind of funny. So the first question that he asked, and he's got quite a few questions, so we're just going to go through all of his, and then we'll move on to other people's. So the first one he asked is, why spoiler country? And I think, does he mean the title? Why do we call ourselves spoiler country? Or does he mean, why did we decide
so,
to do
yeah.
podcasting? So it's a double edged. So
I think.
you go first.
Well, let's do both.
Yeah.
So I'll answer the why the name Spoiler Country. We had a hard time finding a name that fit us because our original concept, as we've said before kind of lightly, is we wanted to be able to talk about anything and whatever. We didn't want to narrow ourselves down to one specific topic, even though that's exactly what we did, really. But
yeah, but
we wanted to have it wide
organically
open.
though.
Yeah. Organically, it came to be, comics and movies, mostly comics, so and movies that relate to comics. But originally our thought was if we wanted to have a scientist on and talk about science or talk about political structures or talk about computers or whatever, we had an option to do that. And then we got into, okay, what are we going to talk probably most about? What do you and I talk about? We talk about stories and comics and movies. And so we had, I actually talked to a buddy at work, my buddy Nat at work. He had an idea for a podcast or a YouTube channel a long time ago called Include Spoilers or something like that. And I was
Yeah.
like, I like the concept of that idea. And then we came up with, I like, with Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, we can't stop here. This is Bat Country. And just that picture of you and me in the car going, we can't stop here. This is Spoiler Country hit my head. And kind of that's where the country part came into it, was the whole Fear and Loathing. Because the first logo I ever did was literally just a Photoshop of the Fear and Loathing scene done with some filters with the we can't stop here. It's Spoiler Country over top of it that I made that looked really shitty.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
And we decided to go with it because in the title it tells you we're going to talk about stories. There's going to be spoilers, so prepare yourself for that. We're not going to shy away from talking about plot points because you don't want to hear plot points. We're not going to try and do completely non-spoiler reviews or talks about anything because it's just too hard.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah. But now we're thinking
That's kind of where that came from.
Now there's
and now we're thinking about changing.
Yeah, now there's a thought. We're thinking about changing it. We haven't decided 100% if we want to do that because to be honest, we get concerned that we'll lose audiences listening simply because all of a sudden they can't find us. So there's that to think
exactly.
about, and there's just that's really what it's just that we found that we feel is a perfect name and a perfect wet URL for that name, and so it's like, oh, do we change or do we just go with status quo?
Right.
Because we both like what we have now.
Exactly.
So there's no reason to,
right,
other than it's just kind of cool.
And rebranding is a huge pain in the ass,
That's right.
especially after 50 episodes.
Yeah. So the likelihood
we've
of
already
us.
built up
Go ahead.
I would say that we've already built up an audience. We've built up all of our social media. We've built up our website, everything based upon this name. Is it worth it to us to change it now or not? Or do we just add a secondary portion to the show? I mean, we have lots of just topics about this, and what I want to do is I want to ask the audience about it, but I don't want to say anything because I know for a fact the second we drop the name of it, someone's going to buy that fucking URL and we'll lose it.
Right?
Because that shit's happened to me before. That's how I lost whitetosale.com way back in the day. Is I looked it up and talked about it online about buying it, and the next fucking day somebody bought it and I lost it for a year.
Oh, that's kind of lame. But now you're .net.
Yeah, so... Well, actually, now I own both because I waited. I put it on watch, and the second that they didn't renew it, I bought it up. That's like within 10 minutes of it going up for renew.
Oh, nice. I once owned.
Yeah, so I was
Kid Wide Web. It was developing.
Oh yeah,
me and my buddy back in like 2005, 2006. We were trying to develop a kid-friendly internet, right? Where we had these mini books that we were going to purchase. There's little, the tiny notebooks, kind of like what the first Chromebooks were. And we were going to be able to control and whitelist specific websites that kids could go to that, were kid friendly. Right? And so we called it Kid Wide Web.
Nice.
Yeah, we called it Kid Wide Web. And I looked it up, and somebody owned kidwideweb.com, and they wanted like $10,000. Right?
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then I went into my buddy Scott's.
Like, nope.
Yep. I went into my buddy Scott's office, and I'm like, yeah, somebody owns kidswideweb.com. And he's like, how much do they want for it? I'm like, 10 grand. He's like, what? And we went to GoDaddy, and he just looked it up again. Right. And it had happened to just fall off. And all of a sudden it was available. We picked it up for $11 or whatever it was. And it was like, what? But that we had all these things in place, and then Disney came out with a notebook, and all of our investors got scared about it and took off. And which Disney didn't do anything with their announcement of doing a kid-friendly laptop. So it was like kind of lame.
I know they didn't do shit with that, but whatever.
But whatever, you know what I mean? It's here, there, now. But it was kind of funny because it was the same kind of thing, right? The guy wanted a bunch of money, and then we just happened to look like the next day, and it was expired and available. So you must.
That's cool.
Because I think you get 30 days. You actually get like 30 days after it expires.
Yeah, especially with GoDaddy, man. GoDaddy gives you like 30, 45 days before. Because I've lost URLs on GoDaddy that I didn't care about.
Yeah.
And they send me reminders, we can still recover this for you like a month and a half later. I'm like, no, I don't care. I don't want it anymore.
Yeah, I think there's rules in place for that, though.
There are now. There wasn't back when the White Tail thing happened because it just expired, and I was watching the days.
So, question one, that is why spoiler country in a roundabout way.
But what was the other part of the question you said you're going to answer? I already forgot.
No, we did. It's like, why? Well, okay, why spoiler country? I kind of took it as why the name, but why the podcast? And the podcast really just comes from, Johnny and I talk. So he married my niece, and then we started, and a couple years later after they got together, I've always lived on the other side of the water, and he was living over there, so we didn't see each other all the time. But when we did see each other,
this kind of leads into question 2, which you're talking about right now, a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, yeah, I mean, so question 2 is, who are the brains behind Spoiler Country? And then we'll get into that here in a second, because really, what happened was, it was a couple of years, then we started talking all the time, and the more that he was coming around to family functions, and then they got married, and then he was at all of the family functions, and then we were talking all the time, and every time he'd come over because we got a pretty large family, so every time he'd come over,
yes, we do.
He would end up Johnny would just end up talking with me, because what would we do? We'd talk about comic books, because we realized, we both like comic books
and movies and ridiculous shit.
Yeah, all the geeky stuff we both like. And we both love. And so then when Facebook Messenger really, I don't want to say came out, but I guess came out, it just made life easier. We ended up, all of a sudden, we're chatting like every day. Hey, did you see this going on?
When it became popular on phones. It became easy for you having your phone, like an extra text messaging thing is when it started, really.
Yeah. And then we just started talking, and Johnny said, we should do a podcast together. And me, I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to anything that is involving, I don't know, just anything that's involving me. I mean,
you want to make sure you want to put out the best product for yourself, man.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah. I mean, when you first started talking about it, he's like, no, man, it's fine. You could just call me on Skype and I'll record it. And I'm like, I am not just calling you with my earbuds on my phone and just have it recorded.
So, to be fair, I was basing that comment was based off how I used to do the old YTCR radio podcast back in 2009.
Yeah, totally.
And at that time, that was the only affordable way you could do it.
Vinyl, a chat show on vinyl is expensive. Thanks, Casey.
This is very true.
That's funny. But yeah, so he said, "Hey, let's do this podcast. Let's do it." And then he kind of bugged me for like a year about we really should do it. You really should do it. You know, you got some good insights. I got some good insights.
I actually started doing a.
Good.
And it's not started, but one of the ideas was to do a YouTube channel where we met up halfway in like a storage unit and made a set and like talked about comics and shit too.
Yeah, I think we can still do that. We originally we thought about let's just rent a storage unit for like $100 a month. We can convert that into our quote unquote studio, right? And then we can just sit down and we can do a YouTube channel. And that's what we kind of initially thought. But then it was like, we don't need to do a YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of video editing, which I don't want to do.
I don't want to do any video editing. I'm not down with that. And the audio editing is difficult enough. You know, it's not difficult.
Right.
It's just tedious
What
enough.
little videos we have on YouTube, what little videos we have of actual editing, like our Mike Grell interview, which I think is the only one that has any actual editing.
Yeah.
Took me forever, and it's only 15 minutes long, and I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. But we started talking, and then it was, so about a year later, it was finally, all right, I went and got myself a mic, which if you hear the first, 15 episodes, I think, are with that Blue Yeti mic.
15, 20, yeah, with the Blue Yeti, which wasn't bad.
I hated that mic, though.
There's a difference.
Yeah, I don't like that mic.
It worked out great for San Diego, man. It was great for San Diego.
It did. But I got us a new USB mic for when we travel, so we're fine on that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah, so, but that being said, I think we're both, I mean, there's nobody it was Johnny's idea to do the podcast. But it's both of us that put everything into the outlines of the shows that we do. Matter of fact, we have a OneDrive.
We'll put a lot of work into this.
Yeah, we have a OneDrive, and we just put idea after idea of what we want to talk about. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, there's a show idea on there called "Stop Sniffing My Nuts and Read This." And I just been wanting to say that on air for so long.
Misogynistic.
wait, no, it's stop
I know you have.
sniffing my balls and read this. That's what it's called. And the whole concept was, what do you do when your significant other doesn't like comic books? What do you get them? What do you give them to hopefully sway them into believing that it's a legitimate form of literature, as we all believe?
Right, because there are people out there who believe comics aren't real media for actual intelligent stories, and that's a huge lie.
Yeah, it's a huge lie, and it's bullshit, and they don't know what they're talking about, so whatever.
Yeah.
But we're both the brains behind it.
What I was trying to interject there real quick, what you were saying, just to end that real quick, to interject there is, it may have been me who said the words, let's start a podcast first, but that sentence wouldn't have happened had everything else not come before it of you and I bonding over the comics, and we were basically at family functions doing a podcast with you and me talking about our stuff. We could just record those. Could have been podcasts.
Yeah, we could go back and just read our Facebook messages, which was an idea at one time. But it's legitimate.
We had
you really could
originally to publish it.
Yeah, we still could. We should do that because they're pretty. There's some gems in there. There is some gems in there.
There's some funny shit. Yeah.
So the next one is,
all right. So who are the brains behind Spoiler Country? We should talk about who you are and who I am.
Sure.
Because I think what he's asking is more who we are, not just how we met.
Okay, you go first.
So who are you? No, you go first. I always talk about myself. Who are you, Kenric?
I'm Kenric Regan. That's who I am. No,
the man, the myth, the legend.
That's right. Often duplicated, rarely. How does that saying go? Often imitated, rarely duplicated. So, anyways. I started working on computers back in like 1990, 1989, and then collecting comic books since the early 80s. So that stuff just kind of followed me through life, And now I'm a project manager for a large I totally just try to say not who I work for, but then I was like a large blah, blah, blah for a large telecommunication company. Someone might say Big Blue. Somebody might say the other Verizon.
Yeah, somebody might say an AT-AT.
Yeah, an AT-AT. So now I do project management for them in the corporate realm.
Yeah.
No retail for me. Thank God. I would hate to do that.
Good,
not that that's
good.
bad.
Thank God, man.
Yeah, not that that's
Retail
bad
sucks.
by any stretch of the imagination.
No. Yeah, no downplay to anybody who works retail and for their living and loves it or does it to get by. That's wonderful for you. I just myself, I hate it.
Yeah.
I feel bad every time I go out on Christmas and someone's working. I feel bad for them, and I wish I didn't have to.
I did a lot.
I also feel bad for myself for going shopping on Christmas.
Yeah, I did it long enough, so I'm good. But I just always loved comic books. I had a lot of friends that collected comic books when I was growing up. They have all gone on to do other things and do not collect comic books, nor read comic books anymore. And I just still love reading comic books. And I was excited when I got to meet Johnny, and he's not, I'm older by about 7 years, I think.
8 years.
8 years. Were you born in 82?
Yeah, I know it's 8 years because you were born the same year as my cousin.
Oh, okay.
So
there you go.
It's the only reason why
so
I
I
know
might
off the
be
top of
like
my head.
8 years older than him, but that's not that much, especially at our age. But at the same time, it's just nice that we're both adults, both living life, and we both love this medium, and it's rare, and so it makes it easy. So there you go. That's who I am.
Yeah, that's who you are. So who I am. We've talked about me before, but I'll kind of do the synopsis here. I'm Johnny, John, Jay. Legally, my name is just a letter. It's just the letter J. John's a nickname. I'm one of those rare cases that have a nickname longer than my real name. I grew up in Washington. I think I grew up probably 10 miles from where you grew up, so not that far away. We grew up in the same places, essentially. Yep. I've loved comics since I was a kid. My dad got me into comics. I mean, if you listen back a couple episodes, we took a whole bunch about my dad and how he got into comics and stuff, but I learned to reading Superman and Wolverine and Batman. That's how I got into comics. I started drawing when I was probably 4 or 5 years old. I started really drawing when I got comic books. I would copy covers. I would copy panels in the comic books that I liked. My dad would buy me comics every week because I would read them, and then I would hold them open and destroy them, copying the panels to try and figure out how to draw Wolverine's claws or draw Superman in a battle scene or something like that. I started. My nephew, who was the same age as me, Jeremy, who sadly is no longer with us. Him and I started our own quote unquote comic book company when we were 14 called J&J Comics, where we created these ridiculous fucking characters like Beltman and the Shocker and Wolfman and
The Shocker.
Like, yeah, he was literally just a guy in big Jinko jeans who had static electricity coming out of his fingers. It was so stupid. And Beltman was a guy who had a belt that wrapped around his whole body as armor, and he could whip you with his belt. I mean, it was dumb. And Wolfman was a werewolf.
That's awesome, though. Come on.
And we had a character, our down-to-earth storyline was called JoJo, Jojo, and we actually wrote, and him and I wrote together, and I drew like the first 3 pages. It was my first time doing paneling when I was, I think, 14 and a half years old, of JoJo's adventure, and it's literally like him walking into a bathroom stall and there being no bathroom there and him falling out of a building. So it was just...
Hello, 12-year-old John.
Insane. And I post... Yeah. Well, 14, but, so I did that, and then, I got out of comics for a little bit in high school because I got into band. I played music, I played guitar and drums and bass. I recorded several albums in the studio, recorded 2 live albums. I toured a little bit, did all that fun, be a rock star, but not a rock star because I didn't make any fucking money at it.
Right.
For a while, college, I was dating this girl, and then the band I was in, while I still believe the band was really talented and could have gone somewhere, the other guys weren't taking it seriously, and they weren't showing up for freaking band practice. We were supposed to have practice twice a week. We played shows every Friday, and they weren't showing up. So I was like, dude, if you guys don't show up, I'm going to fucking quit. And they stopped. They said, oh, okay. They'd show up, and they wouldn't show up for a week. And I'm like, dude, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah.
But I left. They went off, and they recorded one more album, and then they broke up, and none of them did any band stuff since then, which is, whatever. Well, one of them does, but I mean, whatever. And I'm still friends with them, but I just got irritated with the band stuff. I got out of music because
at that age too, man, you don't know what's going to stick.
Well, I was 18, 19. They were one of the guys, my buddy Calvin, who's in the comics with me. Oh, and I put him in the comic book. He was he's the same age as me. He was in the band as a guitar player. I played bass, and then the other 2 guys were like 23, 24. But they were just, and it's not like they were doing anything. They were like just hanging out at home and forget to show up and stuff like that. Hey, we got our first eruption with my son, Jack. Hold on. Just give him whatever he needs to be out of here. That was Jack, my 4-year-old, wanting to play video games downstairs. I knew it was going to happen.
Well,
I'm surprised
Jack.
it took almost an hour for it to come in here.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah. So, anyways, I got out of the band stuff. I started drawing again back in 2001, like drawing heavy. And then I discovered webcomics because that was a new thing back then. And then I applied to be the artist on a webcomic called Least I Could Do. And Ryan Sommer, accepted me, and we signed this little contract thing. I drew one strip for him, the first one before it was out in 2002. I redrew it like 4 times. I wasn't happy with it. He wasn't happy with it, so I walked away before it ever went live. And then he got somebody else, Trevor Adams, I think, to go on to it. Now he has Lars Asuto, who's an amazing artist. But I walked away from that. And I walked away from that because I wasn't happy with how my art was looking.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be public. I didn't want to go have this guy be paying me to do art for him 5 times a week and me thinking it looks like crap. So I spent the next 6 months learning how to draw sequentials and stuff. And then I was working on this stupid comic book called Y2 Christ. And then it's about a superhero comic book about all my friends. And it was just, I have it, but it's so dumb. Then I turned that into a webcomic called Y2CL.
Yeah, it's the start.
Yeah. Well, I turned that into a webcomic, and then that lasted for 13 years. And in the span of that 13 years, I spawned off 11 other webcomics that I did here and there with myself and with other people.
Yeah. Made
a ton of friends in the comic industry, collaborated with a bunch of people. And then, did podcasting with my wife back in 2009, 2010. I've just been, I think what I'm trying to say is I've always had that creative bug to make stuff and to do stuff. And so like now in my life, I do the podcast with you. I do the podcast with Kaylee sometimes, but not really that. Mostly it's just this one.
Yeah. We take this one pretty seriously.
Yeah. I'm working on taking my Joan the Lonely comics and getting them ready to go, and that's been kind of fun. I'm working on my big project right now, art-wise, is the Irons Anthology, which you actually have a story you wrote for it, which your first comic writing thing, which is awesome.
Yeah. It's a Christmas story.
It's a Christmas story, yeah. And I've got Casey, who's listening right now. He has a story that he wrote for that's really good about golems, and he's helping me with some other stuff in the story. And it's just I'm really excited about this. The Irons Anthology story. I'm excited about where this podcast is going.
You mean Casey from the Comic Jam?
Yeah, Casey from Comic Jam wrote a story about a golem, which is really good, and he's helping me with some linking pages too.
That's right. Go check out the Comic Jam.
Yeah. So that's who I am. I'm an artist. I'm a creator. I'm a writer. I'm a podcaster. I have 5 beautiful kids that I love dearly. I have a wife that's your niece that I love dearly. I've been married for almost 11 years to her.
You married into greatness, buddy. You married into greatness.
I did. I married into a great family. I got 5 amazing kids. Anybody who's followed me for any amount of time, I talk about my kids all the time. I post artwork of my kids and stuff I do with them on all of my social media all the time. I'm a big family person, but I'm also big into creating shit too.
Yeah.
That's me.
John Horsley,
a long-winded nutshell.
Comic book artist, dad, podcaster.
Which, ending that sentence with that makes the next question very awkward.
Yeah. Why no you do hentai? Why no hentai? You know what? I don't really know exactly what hentai is. Is it just
it's anime porn?
You just totally ruined it. So you just answered my question. You didn't ruin it. You answered my question because when someone says hentai, is it just? Because to me, is it just Japanese anime, or is it Japanese anime with a sexual component?
It's the sexual component. It's the cartoon porn from Japan. That's hentai.
Yeah. See, but
a lot of hentai has like tentacle stuff in it or weird stuff to it. Porn. So hentai has its yeah, but that's just a type of hentai. Hentai is just
very
what they call Japanese
people.
Anime porn. Yeah, that's one of the problems with hentai is everybody looks like they're 12.
Yeah,
with giant knockers.
Yeah, I just can't get into it. And I love animation. So there's a lot of stuff that I do like to watch and listen to, or like I loved Ghost in the Shell and Vampire Hunter D and a ton more. I mean, I do like a lot of it. But when it gets
I love anime. There's some anime stories that are amazing.
Yeah, when it just gets overly sexualized and all that, I just maybe it's just I don't want to say it's not the innocence because I'm not a very innocent person, but at the same time, I just don't like. I don't like it. I don't like seeing it. It's not for me.
Yeah,
it makes me feel weird.
As I've said before, if it's not a part of the story, I don't want to see it. I don't care. If it doesn't help move the story along. Like one of the reasons why I stopped watching like random animes, and people out there who love anime are probably going to be like, oh, whatever, fuck you. But like, I don't need to see high school drama with upskirt shots and boobs hanging out. I don't care. That's not helpful to me. That's not story to me.
Yeah.
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 Like, I don't know. I like a lot of anime, but I like anime that has a good story and a good backing behind it. It's not even that, and for me, it's not. To me, anime is a genre. If a cartoon is a cartoon and it's good, like GTO or like Ghost in a Shell, then it's just a good cartoon.
Right.
It's not just anime; it's a good cartoon.
Right. Well, see, for me, Ghost in the Shell is on a wholly, and like Akira and stuff like that, they're on a completely different level because the writing itself is amazing, and you're not just the animation is just the medium of delivering the art that's in front of your eyeballs. You know what I mean? It's nothing more than that. It's just a delivery system. That's it. But the story, the action, everything about it is just amazing. So, if you're going to be turned off right off the way,
limiting yourself to watching just anime.
Yeah.
But like limiting yourself to just anime is like saying I only read superhero comics. You're you're putting yourself in a box with an entire medium.
No, I only collect,
you're
dude.
taking a genre. I only like these.
I only collect. I don't read comic books, apparently.
Right.
All right, number 4.
So that no hentai. We'll probably never talk about hentai as far as reviewing a hentai movie. I mean, unless somebody pays us. You want to pay us? If you want to pay us to do it, you can pay me and I'll talk about a hentai movie. But I'm not going to do it off of the guff of my own.
I wouldn't even know a hentai movie to talk about. Maybe Legends of the Overfiend.
The only one I know of is La Blue Girl, and that's like the famous tentacle porn one from the 90s. So,
well, Legends of the Overfiend was a big famous one too, which was ridiculous. All tentacles.
So I mean, there you go. We just mentioned we name dropped 2 hentais. You're happy, Death Invictus. We can move on now. Thank you.
Will you do older movies? I mean, really old, like early TV or before. Okay, so 2 weeks ago, I was at home, and I watched. I watched not all of them because there's a lot of them, but I watched. Oh my God, I'm having a brain total aneurysm. I can't remember the guy.
You watched a movie, or a TV show?
No. It's oh my God, I can't remember the guy's name, and it's driving me nuts. It's not James Dean. It
sounds like
James Cagney. Oh my God. I watched a bunch of James Cagney movie. I watched White Heat, which was amazing. I watched The G-Men, which was based on...
That's a good movie.
Oh, have you watched it? Have you seen it? You've seen that one?
Yeah. I've seen G-Men,
yeah. From 1935, where he's the FBI agent. And this is right before
I used to watch old movies all the time.
Yeah, they're before they're allowed to carry guns. It was crazy. And then White Heat, where he plays an insane gangster guy that is just nuts, ends up basically going to a chemical factory and gets stuck there and ends up basically killing himself. It's nutty. And I watched The Mayor from Hell and Mayor of Hell City, or Mayor of Hell, The Mayor of Hell, which is about an all-boys boarding school. And great movies. I love watching old movies. Matter of fact, I think we should do a whole set of old movies. And I want to start, and I'm going to say it right now because I want to do this. I want to start with the old Universal monster movies. So we start with Frankenstein and Dracula, and then do like the Creature from the Black Lagoon and all that kind of stuff. And then I want to get into the old Hammer movies as well, because I kind of think if you're going to do the old Universal, you need to do the Hammer movies because they're kind of that 1950s, 1960s update of all those, and they're crazy British movies. So we would definitely do older movies.
I also think it'd be good. Definitely, and I also think we should actually sit and watch and do the old like superhero serials from the 40s, like the Captain Marvel one, the Kirk Allen Superman ones from the 40s. We should definitely sit and watch those and talk about those too, because that's the pioneering of superheroes crossing from comic books over into anything comic book related, crossing over into movies, into TV serials and stuff.
Yeah. Great question. That's a great question. We're definitely
that's a good one.
So what do you think of foreign, non-U.S. English movies? I love a good foreign flick. I really do.
Yeah.
You ever see Amelie?
I don't mind subtitles. I don't mind reading.
Yeah, that doesn't bother me at all.
What?
Amelie.
Dude, that's one of my favorite foreign films of all time.
Yeah. See, things like that was
I fucking
great.
love that movie. That movie's amazing. And the old Akira Kurosawa films.
Oh my God, the Seven Samurais.
Seven Samurai, Rashomon, Dreams, all those movies are fantastic.
Yeah.
I went through a time period in college where my buddy Kep and I would get them off of Netflix when I still had DVDs for Netflix. I would just check out the 2 Kurosawa films every week, and he would come over and we would just watch them every week. And we pretty much went through every film they had on Netflix available for us to watch of his. And they're great. I have no problem. I love watching, old Japanese samurai films. I love watching the kung fu films from, Hong Kong in the 70s, Amelie, whatever it's called. I always mispronounce
Amelie.
it. I've watched tons of foreign films that I can't remember the names of, but I'm like, oh, these are good. I didn't.
Yeah. So
if subtitles bother you, then
well, that's
whatever.
Okay.
But
they
don't bother me.
Some people can't read that fast, so. I worked in the movie theater.
Well, it's funny,
I worked in a video store
Yeah.
for a long time, for like 4 or 5 years, and I ran my own for Hollywood Video, and so watching a lot of foreign movies, you get sick of watching the big budget American movies, which I love, and I don't think anybody should discount any medium or any different style of filmmaking from a different country at all, because they all have their place. And the American blockbuster, some of the greatest movies of all time because of that. Hello, Saving Private Ryan. Hello, The Godfather. Hello, Jaws. You know what I'm saying? So, and the one thing that Americans do really, really well is take almost any subject and make you stuff your face with popcorn and drink a ton of soda while you're watching it, because you can't wait to see what happens next. Even when you leave and you say how much you hated it, you didn't leave that movie because it was captivating in a lot of ways. And, Americans do... No one does special effects like Americans. I mean, they just don't. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of great movies that came out. One of the best ones is called Wings of Desire. It was a German film, and they turned it into City of Angels in the late 90s with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan, which is not a very good retelling. But if you get a chance, go back and watch the original one called Wings of Desire. That was a really good one. And then there's like The City of Lost Children. Did you see that?
I did not see that one. No,
that's an amazing one. That's another one that is a French, and I think, and I want to say it's the same people that did Amelie, but I might be wrong on that one. But the people that did City of Lost Children did one of the Alien movies, the one that everybody hates, where she has the DNA is she's a cop.
Is that Resurrection?
The alien, and I think that's the one that came out in the 90s, right?
Yeah, I think those. Yeah, with it had Busta Rhymes in it or something.
Did it? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think Busta Rhymes was one of the guys in that. Or something like that. Yeah. That one, I didn't mind that movie. That movie is ridiculous, but it was kind of like meh. I don't really care. So speaking of we're talking about foreign films. I was, while you were talking, I was trying to remember this movie I saw back in the early 2000s that I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It was an Irish film called Rat.
Oh, okay.
You heard of it?
Yeah. I never watched it. I never watched it. No. I know of it. I haven't watched it.
The dad gets turned into a rat, and it's really freaking good. I love that movie. I watched it a couple times, but I was thinking about, what's that movie where the guy turns into a rat? Oh, it's just called Rat. But yeah. So foreign films, I'm all for it. We could even we could probably even do a foreign films episode at some point too.
Yeah, we could. Yeah, that'd be good. What do you think of indie movies?
In the chat. Well, before we get to that, in the chat, KMG Rules, who's my sister Kim, asked us. She said, what did she say? She asked, what about books non-comic? Will you review those? Maybe if they relate to the movie or if a movie was based off of it. And Casey, who's moderating chat for us, already told her we did review Sandman Slim by Richard Kadrey, and we had him on.
That was cool.
We will absolutely review books that we like and talk to the authors that aren't, even if they're not related to comic books. We will absolutely review books down the road.
We actually have a guy
books
coming on.
Books take longer to get through.
Yeah, we actually have a guy that's going to come on that has a book, and it's a really cool concept of. Well, I can't even. You know what? You're gonna have to wait for it because I don't know how to explain it and get the point across where it sounds, because it's a really neat thing where the guy paints with the ashes of the dead, and it helps him investigate murder mysteries. I think that's the way to do it. I haven't read.
We're going to talk about that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, he sent us the book to read, so I'm excited to read it, and he's going to come on and we're going to talk about it. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
So to finish that question, really, we're open to pretty much reviewing and talking about any kind of genre or storytelling, because while we mostly talk about comic books, we just love to consume stories and consume ideas.
We just know how they come at us. It's an easy thing for us to talk 2 hours about because we know it.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
All right, so question 6 here from Death Invictus. What do you think of indie movies?
I love indie movies. Independent movies, to me, you wouldn't have things like Clerks without independent movies. There's
my cousin Joel is an independent filmmaker. He just had his first movie, Soul, go to the Cannes Film Festival and go to France and go to all these film festivals and win awards and shit on the indie movie scene. So I'm a huge fan of indie films, man. I will watch them all day long.
Yep. You send some over to us. We'll definitely watch them. Matter of fact, I even like the bad ones.
Yeah.
Because to me, I think about what somebody went through to get that on the screen. And they're putting themselves out there more than any of us are doing at this point. You know what I mean? Like they're maxing out their credit card.
No matter what you say, effort went into it.
Yeah.
Some effort went into making that film, no matter how shitty it is.
Yep. And you got to look at why is it the way it is? Is it shitty like that on purpose for the irony? Or is it that, they did the best they could with the technology they had and the ability that they have?
Yeah.
And the fact that they did it.
Is it shitty? It's
amazing. I mean, even like,
is it shitty for a purpose like trauma films?
Yeah.
Trauma films are kind of shitty because that's their genre, right? It's what they do. But is it shitty because that's all they could afford, but they still try to put out the best part they can? You gotta have, as a creator myself, you have to respect somebody who puts themselves out there like that, because that's what you're doing when you release something. You're putting yourself out there. You're putting a piece of your soul out there for somebody else to look at and to judge you on, essentially.
That's right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, I don't know. I have nothing but respect for anybody that gets something out there. And and with today's technology, you could do a whole movie on your iPhone, literally.
Yeah, it's so. Being creative today is so much easier than it was even 5-10 years ago. I love it.
Dude, we had Stephen Frank on. That's another interview. If you haven't had a chance to go back and listen to Stephen Frank. Man. That guy is amazing. And he talks about when he's 13 years old.
So much talent.
He talked about being 13 years old, right? And getting into animation and realizing that he loved this medium. He was watching these movies, these TV shows in France, and he got these shitty Japanese animated TV shows, but he absolutely loved them, And he would bike himself down to his local library, and they had one magazine that talked about animation in France, and it came out whenever. He said there was no rhyme or reason when it actually came out. It just came out every once in a while. And he would take that back, and he would learn all the different animation techniques that he could possibly get out of these magazines. And then he got his mom to take him down to the hardware store, and he built his own contraption to put in his room that held his camera still, so that he could take pictures of of his sheets, so he could create his own animation. And he did a movie of the spirit. That is nuts.
It's not bad. I mean, it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, well, at 13 years old, 13 years old, and these are things that are not made for. They're not targeted towards somebody that was not English speaking. You know what I mean?
Right.
All the big animators came out mostly out of America. And I think I'm pretty safe in saying that. You had the Chuck Friedmans and is it Chuck Friedman? Chuck Lang? Who's the guy that did all the Warner Brothers?
Chuck Jones?
Chuck Jones and Walt Disney and, all the big names coming out of here. But that's not to say that, and then you had all the great animation come out of Japan, actually. So that's a total. So I'm talking out my ass. You know what I mean? There's a ton more.
As normal, but we're used to it.
But the fact that Stephen Frank sat there and came up with all this at 13 years old in a small town in France and doing all this, incredible. And then he put that together. That is the indie movie spirit right there. And that's why I love indie movies.
It is, man. Yeah. Because and same with indie comics, you get ideas and thought processes and stories you wouldn't get in mainstream movies and indie movies, just like how we talked about indie comics and mainstream comics.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. What about All right,
number 7. What about Bollywood?
Yeah. You know what? I just don't know enough about it. And honestly, when they break into song, I'm kind of put out. And it's not that it could be an amazing story, but I think the whole thing with Bollywood, every single movie is a musical. Right?
Yeah, I haven't watched enough Bollywood. Yeah,
I don't have enough. You know what? Tell me a movie to watch. I'll go check it out. I'll go watch it.
Yeah, I watch. Does Slumdog Millionaire count?
No, that's not Bollywood. That's a Hollywood movie that was made about India.
Yeah, exactly. But so I don't know. I mean, send us some Bollywood movies to watch, and I will absolutely sit and watch them. I have no opinion because I haven't actually put any effort into actually watching any, to be honest.
Yeah. There you go. Number 8, Johnny.
All right, next. Oh, that's a long one. All right. America has a tendency to steal movies from other countries and languages and make their own. What do you think about this? And have you Have you compared them?
You know what? It's kind of funny that you say that because I did with the foreign movie with the Wings of Desire and City of Angels. Steal is a harsh word. I don't know. I think most of the time, I mean, I'm sure they have been stolen at some point. You know what I mean? But most of them, they're paying a licensing fee to do that, and they're paying for that for the rights to that.
And
like if you look at
adaptation is different than stealing.
Yeah, and you look at La Femme Nikita, great foreign film by Luc Besson, and then they recreated it to Point of No Return with Bridget Fonda.
Yeah.
And
Nikita's been redone several times.
Well, they did a TV show with it. I don't think they've ever redone the movie. They did a TV show.
No, they did a couple TV shows. They did a couple shows.
Yeah.
A show called La Femme Nikita.
Yeah.
And they did a show a couple years ago called Nikita, which was
with Q.
It was okay.
Maggie Q.
Was he in it?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, with Maggie Q. Yeah.
She was Nikita.
I thought you meant Q from Star Trek.
No.
I'm like, really? He was in it? Cool.
But I feel that I think most of the time when you have a foreign film that is really, really good, like Wings of Desire, like La Femme Nikita, and I think Hollywood is smart enough to know that they have an amazing film here on their hands, that if they just put it out the way it is, the majority of the American audience, I don't know about other countries, but the majority of the American audience is not going to go and see it. It's going to be labeled a foreign film. They got to read. They're not going to go. But if they redo it and reimagine it for American audiences, they're going to make a lot more money, and money tends to dictate that. Do I agree with it? Not 100%. Sometimes I do, because it just makes it more accessible for some people. But at the same time, no, I don't really agree with it, because La Femme Nikita is I can't even say the magnitude better than Point of No Return, for an example.
Right. Do I wish Hollywood would make the U.S. movie market would make more of an effort to stay truer to whatever of the originals? Kind of, I do. But another way I understand, because some foreign film or some foreign story ideas and concepts don't translate to American audiences very well. And while someone like myself or you or somebody who likes the foreign version may understand it and get it and do it, it may not translate well. Case in point, there's a great Hong Kong filmmaker named Stephen Chow that I like. He's the guy behind Shaolin Soccer and Kung Fu Hustle and stuff like that.
Kung Fu Hustle, man.
In one of his movies,
oh my God, I died cracking up on that one.
Yeah, oh, it's so funny. But his movies, I can't remember which one it was, but one of his movies, there's a scene where he's running from the bad guys. You know, he always kind of plays the same kind of aloof doofus character that's really good at kung fu that comes through and he's a hero in the end. But they're fun stories, they're fun kung fu comedies. But there's one of them where he's running through this field or this village, and he stops and hides behind this building, and there's a little boy who's naked peeing. And in the scene, he's holding this little stick, and he pokes the little boy in the penis with a stick, and they laugh about it. And it's a joke.
Yeah.
That would not translate to American audiences at all.
Well, that's just like, you know what? That's the same thing with The Professional and Luke.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, really? Yeah.
Because it's The Professional, and then what's the French version called? But it's, I mean, they're the same movie, but they just re-edited it. For The Professional, they re-edited it so that it was not the romantic infatuation.
The relationship.
Yeah, with the girl and the hitman was completely changed. Same reason though, right? American audiences would have been really turned off to that. But the thing is if you watch the French version, which is way better, right? There's just more going on, and you understand more.
Isn't the American title of the French version called Leon the Professional?
Oh no! I think the American version is The Professional, and I think the French is just Leon.
Okay,
I think that's right. I could be wrong. You know what we're talking about, though.
I mean, whatever. You know what we mean.
Yeah, but if you watch the French version, even though you could tell that he's in love with her, it's all innocent at the end of the day. You know, I don't think that anything. I don't know, man. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't know that he would have done anything. Yeah, that's a touchy subject, but I can see. Yeah, I guess for the French audience, there was like, no, we got to leave everything in. But for the American audiences, they edited it all out. But it's not like they show them making out or any sexual things are happening.
It's all just in the context what they talk about and how he approaches her and stuff.
Yeah, and how he tells her. Yeah. That was a weird one. You know, actually, wait, real quick. Casey actually brought up a good one. Let the Right One In and Let Me In. Have you seen those?
I have not.
So
no.
Let the Right One In was an amazing vampire movie with a 12-year-old girl playing the vampire, and she's lived for hundreds of years, and she falls in love with the 12-year-old boy that lives next to her, and he's beat up on, he's bullied constantly. They live in Oslo, Norway, and he's just bullied relentlessly. And then she has a handler that is old, right? And a human handler that's old, and she goes through this whole thing, and it was a wonderfully done film. It's set in Oslo, and the snow and everything. It's even though it's a horror movie, it's a beautifully shot horror movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then they redid it, and I think I can't remember. I think it's the same girl that plays Hit Girl in Kick-Ass does the American remake, and it's just they tried. Let's put it that way. They tried to do it. It has its moments, but it does not hold up. It's just, again, it's dumbed down for the American audience. That's the only way I can put it.
Oh, yeah, it is. It's Chloe Grace Moretz who played Hit Girl, and Cody Smith McGee who plays Owen in that movie, who was Nightcrawler in the last X-Men film.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah, I didn't even know about that movie, but yeah, I don't know. My final thought on that is, I'm not against it, because if they don't take ideas from outside of the country, a lot of people would never find those ideas, because there have been movies and films where people will watch the Americanized version and then they'll go seek out the original, and then they'll turn them on to a whole new genre, a whole new
that is so true
country to find movies in. And so I'm not against it. I do wish as a creator, I wish they would stick more to source material and adapt, but as I'm a firm believer in every version of something should be different. You shouldn't have a carbon copy of something. So if this is a Japanese film and they make it for American audience, it shouldn't just be the Japanese film with American actors. It should be a version of that film that's not modernized, but then that's adapted to fit the genre or fit the style of what it's being made into.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and there's some amazing foreign films that don't need to be redone, like Mad Max. Amazing movie.
Yeah. I mean, why? Right, exactly. I mean, stay on their own. You don't need to redo them. They fit in anywhere.
Yeah, I think
number 9.
Mostly when they're not.
Alita, Battle Angel.
Well, hold on. I think it's mostly when you don't know. I think it comes down to the foreign language. If they're not a foreign language, and a lot
people
of times
are thrown off by.
It's all about that reading.
And Americans are also thrown off by thick accents. So even British films that have thick accents, people are like, I don't know what the fuck to do here. I'm like, just listen.
All right. So number 9, Alita, Battle Angel. I don't even know what that is, dude.
All right. So what the full question is, Alita, Battle Angel. Seriously, let's discuss how badly this will be messed up. So there's a movie, an anime, and a comic book series called Battle Angel Alita, which is about this cybernetic female with big eyes that anime fights and does stuff. I haven't read much of it, but I'm familiar with it, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty popular in Japan. It's popular. The mangas and the Dark Horse did a comic series about it, which were pretty popular for a while. There's Robert Rodriguez is doing a movie called Alita Battle Angel, which I don't know why they reversed the title, but whatever. And it's directed by Robert Rodriguez. It's produced by James Cameron. It has like a lot of things that you think, oh, this would be good. It has Christoph Waltz is in it, Jennifer Connelly, Ed Skrein. I mean, it has a lot of good actors in it. Jackie Earle Haley's in it. However, I watched the trailer for it because the trailer played before Star Wars, and it looks absolutely terrible.
Oh,
like the animation for her, like
it's animated.
They really like. No, it's not. It's live action, but she's animated because she's cybernetic, and they made her eyes look bigger because she has bigger eyes, and she has robotic arms and stuff, and she just looks like a Pixar cartoon trying to interact in the real world. It just looks wrong. And it may be because I'm like anymore CG seems like, oh, that's just CG, that's not real. And I'm desensitized to it. So it has to be really good CG for me to be like, oh, that looks awesome. And this just looks like it looks like a cartoon character. I mean, a really good cartoon character, but it's not real interacting with real people.
Is it Justice League?
And it shows.
Is it
it's actually kind of worse than that.
It's worse than Steppenwolf?
It's actually worse than Steppenwolf.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Yeah. It's and Battle Angelina, the storyline. I remember I've read some of the comics years ago. And I mean, the first like 2 issues of a Dark Horse series, and it wasn't bad, but it was entertaining. I just didn't keep going on it. This movie, I don't even want to see it. Like, it's not something I look forward to.
I don't even want to see it. I'll have to look up the trailer.
Yeah, I probably won't.
So there you go.
Watch the trailer. Tell me your thoughts. But
more anime, bitches. Number 10. More. Okay, we'll do our best.
Okay.
Number 11.
I mean, we've already talked about doing an anime episode and trying to get Steph and Frank to come back on and talk anime with us and animation again.
Yeah.
So we've already talked about that.
And then number 11. Hey, how about that new Samurai Jack movie? The one with Batman.
I haven't watched the Samurai Jack Netflix movie yet. I've heard it's super dark though.
Oh, it's a Netflix movie?
A lot of people are. Yeah. It's a Netflix movie about Samurai Jack that continues after all the series, and it's like people are basically calling it. If you replace Samurai Jack with Batman, it's a Batman movie. Is what they're saying.
Oh, that's crazy.
I haven't seen it yet. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, so I don't know. But I've heard it's good. So hey, how about it?
Yeah, how about it? I'm going to check it out. I didn't even know that it was out yet. I looked it up, and all I could find was the recut of season 1 into a movie.
Oh,
so I thought that's what
no, it's on Netflix.
About.
I think it's on Netflix now. Yeah. Yeah, no.
All right. So the next one is this is a question that I kind of like, and that's from Kevin Joseph, who is a friend of the show.
Of Tart.
Yeah, he is the creator, writer of Tart. If you have not had a chance to go check that out, go check it out because it's actually quite amazing. I hooked up a local comic book shop with a bunch of them that he gave to me for them to give out, and hopefully they'll get them out there and get people reading because they're really, really good. So his question is, series, limited or ongoing, from the 70s, 80s, or 90s, would you like to see revived? And I'm going to let you go first, unless you don't have one.
That's a tough one, man. That's a tough one.
Mine's easy.
Mine's easy. If yours is easy, go with your easy one.
Okay. So we actually talked about this character a little bit ago, and then I went and bought, based on our conversation, I went and bought the miniseries again. And I kind of wish they bring it back.
I know what you're going to say.
And it's Long Shot.
Yep.
Because it's a fun read. It's not amazing, you know what I mean? It's not an earth-shattering, changing comic book event of a read, but it's a fun read. He's a fun character, and they can do a lot with him. And he was uber popular when all of a sudden they just got rid of him. So I'd love to see them bring. And I know they brought him back not too long ago, but it's not. I don't think it's quite the same way. I really want to see them bring him back like he was a fringe X-Men member and he did all this stuff, and I'd like to see that. What was yours?
Right, so for me, I'm torn. I've been thinking about this question for a while, and I don't have a good answer because my one from the 70s would be Iron Fist, but they have brought Iron Fist back. So, and it's not because I was a big fan of the 70s Iron Fist series, and so I was kind of thinking. I mean, the only thing I think of really would be a series from the 90s would be The Mask from Dark Horse.
The Mask, like the gym, like from the same one from the movie. The movies, the comic book was what the movies was made from, but yeah.
Right, yeah. There's that.
And then Jamie Kennedy just totally killed it with that last one. Did you see it? It was terrible.
Son of Mask?
Something like that, yeah.
Whatever. I watched half of it and turned it off because Jamie Kennedy and the whole thing was fucking terrible.
Are you eating candy bars or something?
Mask. Oh no, there's a bag of Kaylee. My wife needed batteries, and I have batteries on my desk and whatever, bag of batteries. But no, The Mask. So in the 90s, Dark Horse did several miniseries of The Mask, and I loved like 90% of those comics. They were so dark and good, and there just hasn't been any, to my knowledge. And I haven't gone and searched it out to see if they have done any with it, but I would love to see an ongoing Mask series. There was I remember now in the early 2000s, there was a Mask Joker crossover with DC and Dark Horse with the Joker and Harley and the Mask and his gang. And it was actually really good, but I would love to see Mask or even Concrete from Dark Horse. I would love to see Concrete come back too. From Paul Chadwick.
Oh yeah. Concrete was a groundbreaking series.
Yeah.
And talk about an indie series that made a difference.
All right.
You know what I mean? It was I don't know. That was a really good series. You know what I would like to see come back actually too is Magic. the series.
No,
I
yeah.
love that series from the early '80s, where that's how she gets her powers, and or how she becomes more of a I guess you could say
she's
a
a cool
sorceress.
character.
Yeah, and the whole thing of she became so powerful though. I think Marvel had to they had to bust her down, for lack of a better term,
Yeah,
right?
right.
They made her a 5-year-old girl again. I think she's back though. I think she's back as a normal, like the way she was. I might be wrong.
I think so too. If I had to pick one DC series I'd like to see come back, just because I liked the craziness of the stories to it, is I think it would be fun if DC had a Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen series going that just told those kind of stories for DC Universe.
Yeah.
Because if you ever go back and read the Jimmy Olsen stories, they're ridiculous. And it's like Jimmy Olsen gets married to a gorilla, which is a real story from the comics, or Jimmy Olsen makes multiples of himself. They're just silly and stupid and fun.
That's the reason why I don't like. It's not that I don't like the actor playing Jimmy Olsen on Supergirl. I don't like the portrayal of Jimmy Olsen. I don't care about ethnicity at all. You know what I mean? He's just too manly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get what I'm saying?
Well, Jimmy Olsen's always been a kind of a smaller guy, and the guy there, he's a big dude.
Yeah, he's supposed to be like a weakling kind of geeky guy that gets himself in trouble, and you know what I mean, is not, for lack of a better term, I don't think he ever come across as a very smart person, and that's fine. You don't want to make him stupid, but at the same time, they've completely changed the character that he is with this guy. And the guy is great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to take anything away from that. It's just it doesn't fit who Jimmy Olsen is.
It's great on the show. It worked for the show, and it's just like a different version of Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah,
essentially.
They shouldn't call him Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah,
He's somebody else.
Whatever. They did that. They did that to give it a connection to Superman. I get it. I get why they did it, but I kind of agree. Like, it's his character-wise is off from the normal Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, it's just weird. It's weird.
Yeah.
So if you had to kill off, this one's
right.
from John Anderson. You read this one. This has you written all over it.
Yeah, it does. If you had to kill off the classic JL crew and replace them, who would you choose? I assume he means the original 7. If you had to kill off Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter, who would we recast as the Justice League?
Ooh.
Well,
if you had to kill off the classic JL crew and replace them, who would you choose? All right.
So for this question, we'll assume that by killing off the Green Lantern of Hal Jordan, we can't replace him with John Stewart.
Okay,
we can't replace him with the Green Lantern.
Let's say who's gone. Right, Superman's gone. The Trinity is gone. Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman.
Yeah, Superman. Yeah.
Wonder Woman, Batman.
Flash is out.
Flash is out. So that's 4.
Green Lantern's out.
5. And then what? Hawkman is the other original?
No. Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter, that's 6.
Yep. And then
who's it?
Shit, who's the
Well, let's just go with those
one?
6. Let's just go with that's a good amount. That's a lot of people. So we have to replace
Aquaman.
Oh yes. Okay,
God,
7.
Aquaman, the 7th one.
Okay, so we have 7 people that we have to replace them with.
Well, and this is a tough question because you can do this 2 ways. One, you can just say 7 other heroes, but each character of the Justice League fits a certain
mold
purpose.
So okay,
yeah,
I think
there's a reason why they're there.
Superman right off the back, you have to replace him with Shazam. Who else are you going to replace him with?
Well, but Superman's not there just because of his power. Like Superman's role in the Justice League isn't because he's strong.
I get it, but we're still trying to come up with 7 new characters. I'm saying that you have to look at it. You're saying that it's not just about his powers, but that is a big proponent of it as well. You can't just say it's not, because it's a big part of it as well. I'm saying Shazam is an adequate person for the power level. Maybe not as much, but he's still adequate. He might not.
For the power level, yes.
Okay, so I'm saying Shazam. You can replace the intelligence and the leadership qualities of Superman with somebody else.
Yeah. Right.
Okay, Shazam kind of takes place like Aquaman and Superman, right? Those kind of.
Yeah. The 2 big hitters.
Yeah.
Now, but do we want to do this where do you want to eliminate like legacy characters? Like we can't replace Barry Allen with Wally West, or we can't replace Superman with John Kent or Batman with Damian Wayne, right?
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Like we wouldn't just have
Yeah,
Nightwing step up to the Justice League because you have to have a different character.
Well, no, you could say Nightwing. He would be a good, adequate person from Batman. Or even the Red
Nightwing
Hood.
could easily
I would
step
want the
into
Red
Justice
Hood,
League.
not Batman. I would say let's have the Red Hood, and then that would be awesome. So far,
it's too much of a loose cannon to be in the Justice League.
Yeah,
man.
that's why he's awesome. So my two picks right now is Shazam and motherfucking the Red Hood. You can have the other 5.
Okay.
Do you have
I would say off the bat, I would say Wonder Woman replace her with Hawk Girl.
with Hawk Girl?
Hawk Girl is
Not Zatanna?
Hawk Girl.
Hawk.
No, because Hawk Girl would replace Wonder Woman's warrior tactics, her power, her strength. She's
Not Hot Girl,
tough.
but Hawk.
I know. My kids say Hot Girl. I'm like, no, it's Hawk Girl. Hot Girl? I want to see Hot Girl. No, Hawk Girl. I would say Hot Girl fits for Wonder Woman. I would say you could replace
So we got 3.
Green Lantern.
Who do you replace with Green Lantern?
You have to replace him.
Dr. Fate?
It has to be somebody he's got to be somebody in space though, because he's the space connection.
Oh, Lobo.
It's got to be someone like Adam Lobo or Adam Strange. It's got to be one of those two.
It had to be Adam Strange because Lobo is more of a mercenary, right?
Yeah. So we had to do Adam Strange to replace
Adam
Green Lantern
Strange,
with, which is a totally different kind of character.
We have the Red Hood for replacing Batman.
For Batman.
We have Shazam.
All right.
We have Hawk
Superman.
Girl.
Hawk Girl.
And we have
Yep.
Adam Strange.
Yep.
Okay, we have 3 more
as
characters.
Far as, yep. You could replace
So who does the
Flash?
Flash?
You could replace a Cyborg. I mean,
Yeah, but
I would say
Cyborg has
Cyborg's the only,
become...
Cyborg.
yeah.
But he's part of the league now, and he's also so overpowered. But
You would go with Cyborg?
I would say he's the easy pick. I mean, he's not the pick I'd want, but he's the easy pick to make.
Okay, well, we'll say Cyborg, but we'll put a little asterisk there. Like, he might be replaced later on.
I would say you can replace Martian Manhunter with Zatanna.
Or Dr. Fate.
Or Dr. Fate, yeah. Either one of those could fit that role easily, the role he plays in Justice League.
I think I would do Dr. Fate.
But who do you replace Aquaman with, though?
So we have one more.
Because Aquaman is pretty much he's the a power opponent, a royal component, and like the connection to the sea and stuff like that. Who do you replace that with?
Well, you can't really. I mean, unless you can convert Black Manta.
Which you can't do. He's a bad guy.
Yeah, I mean, you could do the Blue Beetle or Booster Gold, but they're not. I mean, Booster Gold is.
Blue Beetle. Do Blue Beetle.
Yeah, you could do Blue Beetle.
Yeah, Blue Beetle could do it. I mean, Blue Beetle could easily take over Adam Strange or Green Lanterns for that space complex too.
Yeah,
because it's essentially kind of the same thing. He has this suit that does all his space shit.
Okay, so we'll just leave it at that. So we have Shazam, the Red Hood, Hawk Girl, Adam Strange, Dr. Fate, the Blue Beetle, and Cyborg. That would be our.
There you go.
That would be our Justice League.
That's our quickie Justice League recast without having lots of time to do it.
Yeah, Spoiler Country presents the new Justice League.
Right.
Oh, that is crazy. Actually, it's not too bad. I wonder how that would go as a group.
No, I mean it'd be
not a lot of
interesting group
sexiness
to
in
have.
there, though. You know what I'm saying? Not a lot of pull to bring the people in.
You don't need sexiness.
Well, you got the Red Hood.
Sexy in your superhero group.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, he's all sexy in that red mask. I mean, come on.
But you know what I'm saying. I'm not saying sexy in sexual orientation or sexual orientation. That's not what I mean. Not in
I know what you
sexual proclivity. I'm just saying like it's not bringing people in. They're like, ooh, they got the Red Hood. Right. Ooh, Adam Strange. Right. A lot of people don't even know who the fuck Adam Strange
is. Blue Beetle. Yeah. Right. Adam Strange is a pretty deep cut for a character, I know.
Right. Deep cuts. Doing the Lord's work.
All right. Next question. This is from Donnie.
You want to read this? You want me to read this?
I'll read this one, yeah, because I've actually had this conversation to some degree with him.
Well, we had this conversation. I'm curious to see
have us talk about it.
This is what kind of cracks me up is we actually talked about this.
We did, but let's do it again. So, Donnie says, "Here's one. In the past couple years, Hulk has become way more powerful, and he's super pesky to get rid of. Which is when the Hulk gets mad, he's hard to get rid of, right? I mean, he's an asshole.
Right.
But I also remember that in the Death of Superman comics, when you talk about Doomsday, he's a big hulking ugly guy like the Hulk because he's basically the Hulk with bones coming out of him.
Okay.
He goes, I was also a fan of that series. I have a hard time of reading things and making comments while I do it. I
also,
that.
well, yeah, just read it through.
I know. I was also a fan of the What If series. Well, I wonder if you took the current Hulk and threw him up against the current Superman with no kryptonite for Hulk, would it be an ongoing battle that would never end?
It'll come down to...
It's a good question.
It is a kind of a good question. We've talked about this. Johnny came up with the story when Superman literally threw a mountain at the Hulk. But that being said, I think it comes down to conditioning. It's who can outlast. You know what I mean?
Who tires out first
exactly.
is the answer.
Yeah, who tires first? That's going to be the answer. And it's hard to say
right.
because as the Hulk gets mad, he gets stronger. And Superman's power
but the Hulk can be knocked out.
Yeah, and there's
been instances of the Hulk being knocked out, but Superman can also be drained of power too.
Yeah. At some point, so it's an interesting.
I would say,
I don't know, man. I mean, the easiest way to say is Superman will end up eventually win because he's so much smarter than the Hulk. He'll outsmart the Hulk in some way. You know what I mean? And he has some other things, like he has heat vision, and he's uberly faster. He's amazingly faster than the Hulk, right?
Right. He's more than just as strong. He has other things that go for him. He's smart. The speed, the heat vision, he has battle strategies where the Hulk just is destroy.
Right. That's the safe bet is Superman wins.
Yeah.
That being said,
another thing too is
the Hulk can.
It wouldn't be an easy fight.
No. To me, when you think about it, the only person that has the best chance against Superman in the Marvel Universe is probably Thor, because he's a god. But even
demigod.
Yeah, he's a demigod.
Still.
And that's not. But I'm not including any. No, he's not a demigod. He's a god. He's a god of thunder. Demigod would be born of. You'd have a human parent.
Oh, born of.
You'd have a mortal parent. He doesn't.
Sorry.
But the point is that he might have a chance. But you know what? The Hulk beat the crap out of Thor. So even then, it's hard to say. That's one of my favorite story taglines or that movie, the Hulk versus. The movie, the actual animated movie that they did for that, it was awesome. When Banner finally gets back into the Hulk, he's like so tired. He just passes out from just raging forever. Safe bet to say Superman.
Oh, interesting.
But go ahead.
So I'm looking at. I just got the whole. It's just off topic, but Thor, God versus demigod. I'm reading Scientific America, who classifies Thor, Norse god and Marvel superhero, as a demigod, and any attempt to scientifically explore this otherworldly is to be dismissed as such.
Why is that? They say why?
Scientific America classifies him as a demigod.
Why?
Because he's the son of a god.
Interesting.
Which is interesting, yeah. So there's that. But I think it's back to the Hulk versus Superman thing. It's a matter of who tires out faster. I think in the end, Superman's gonna win. Because of his, he's not just a raging ball of anger.
Yeah.
And there's a scene that one of my favorite scenes in comics, literally almost ever, is Superman and Darkseid. And Darkseid's, you could argue that Darkseid's as strong as the Hulk, because Darkseid is godly strong, right?
Yeah.
And there's a scene where Superman is fighting him, and Superman is beat and down, and Superman needs to win. And basically, Superman grabs Darkseid by the throat, flies to the sun, and punches that son of a bitch across the universe because he gets supercharged by the sun. So I think of that, and I'm like, well, if he just flies to space and punches Hulk across the universe, the Hulk's not going to make it.
It could be. Okay,
but it's a tough battle. I would actually love to read a comic that deals with that topic by a good writer to tackle it.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Yeah, just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last one is from our good friend Mike Peacock, who has the podcast On the Edge with Mike Peacock, and that's a fun one.
We were on, and it was amazing.
Yeah, we were on it. It was a lot of fun. He does a good job on that one. He's got a lot of episodes now, and they're all pretty funny because he just complains about everything, and I love it. So
if you haven't listened to it, go check it out.
Yeah, On the Edge with Mike Peacock. So His question is pretty cool, actually.
Cock is peacock.
If you could do paid work on any franchise, what would it be? And what new ideas would you introduce? Would you take a new direction with it or keep it comfortable and familiar? Assuming, of course, you were given the freedom to do so. And I have an idea, and you and I have actually talked about this privately, and I think it's safe to bring it up.
We have.
So you already know what I'm thinking of.
Go for it.
So
yeah, I do, and I still like the idea.
Yeah, I would love to take over Dr. Fate because I think that he has never been given a very good run. Not anything new, anyways. He's one of the, I think it's safe to say he's one of the original superheroes for DC, right? He's in the top 10, right?
He's old school, yeah.
He came out in the 40s, right? So that being said, he's a fun character. Doctor Strange wants to be Dr. Fate. He's a Dr. Fate ripoff, really, at the end of the day. And I just don't think Dr. Fate has ever been written as well as he could be. I think people have tried. And
he's a cool character. There's so much story to him that you could do with him.
Yeah, and I would really just like to retcon him back into maybe not retcon, because I think the new character of Doctor Strange was a really cool way they did it, and they did it with a Middle Eastern boy in New York, and I think it was New York. I could be wrong. Yeah, but I thought
they've done some good stuff.
With him over the years,
cool character. Just not continuing.
Yeah, I just thought the character himself, the person that was playing Dr. Fate, was well done. But I would like to bring in the Cthulhu mythos into it, where you have in the whole thing, because that just makes sense to me. And yet, that's a whole series of mythos that you could bring into the DC realm and have this whole thing where it's an old god and all these old things that are coming through and dealing with madness. And when I think of Dr. Fate, I think that he deals in the world of madness and the world of sorcery and the world of the undead and everything else that goes along with it, and all these different dimensions and realms, and Ryla, the city of the dead, rising from the deep. And I just think that you put these elements in with Dr. Fate, I think it could be a really big hit. And Cthulhu in the last few years has actually had a renaissance of people understanding and rereading who that is and what that is. And I think taking advantage of that and putting it into the Dr. Fate realm and into the DC universe, I think it's a home run to me. It would be for me anyways. And so that's what I would like to do.
Well, and to go further that too, you could, for that, with Cthulhu and the old gods and Dr. Fate, you could easily bring in the DC character Clarion, the Chaos Boy, into that as well, as part of use him as the catalyst for Cthulhu and the old gods. And like, there's precedents and there's already characters and stuff within the DC universe in that realm that would make that story and make it pop.
Yeah, totally.
So I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I think so. Do you have one?
So I changed, like, obviously the easy one for anybody who's a creator that's like grew up like me would be Wolverine or Batman, right? Be able to work on a Wolverine story or work on a Batman story in some aspect would be awesome.
What would you do? Wolverine's an interesting one, because they've changed it so much from when I haven't read. I read the Death of Wolverine just because when I got back into collecting comic books, that was like the big one that was in the middle of it, so I got them all, right? And I read it, and I was just like, oh, it's kind of weird. But I loved like the mini-series Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. I loved that series. I thought it was cool.
Oh, that one's good. That's great.
And I loved the mini-series, just Wolverine, his first mini-series. I thought that was great. And I read a lot of the limited or the unlimited series when it first came out, because I was in junior high when Wolverine #1 came out, and I got it right off the shelf for $1.50 or $1.25, whatever it was. I don't remember. But I got it, and Punisher Unlimited, anyways. But there's been so many changes with Wolverine, and they've done so many different things with them. And he was a popular character when I started reading him, but he was still very much an X-Men, right? He was still very much in all the X-Men comic books. A lot of the X-Men comic books kind of became Wolverine and the X-Men, really, because he was so popular.
Yeah, because Wolverine became so popular.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting. What would you do? What would you change with Wolverine? Because the one thing I didn't like the bone claws. I didn't care that they had the bone claws, but the adamantium in wrapped around his skeleton was everything to me. You know what I mean? That was not everything, but that was a big part of who Wolverine. He was. Yeah. And the fact that he's short and squat and, you know what I mean, not a big, tall, lengthy, sexy guy like
smokes cigars, says bub all the time, and is just freaking badass.
Yeah. So what would you change? What would you do with Wolverine?
I don't know. See, I don't know. I've never actually put a lot of thought into what I would do with established characters before, because I spent most of my creative life creating my own things, doing stuff that I wanted to, like stories I wanted to tell with my own characters that I would own or that I could do whatever I wanted with. I did have an idea that I wrote down into a book. I wrote about 6 pages in a notebook, probably 10 years ago, of an idea that I wanted to write that would, because I was like, you know what? I want to do a good story that's interesting, that crosses Justice League and Avengers. And I had wrote this story out about this new villain that lives in both universes at the same time. So it's a paralleled character, but he's aware he's in both universes, and it's not 2 versions of him. It's the same. It's him in both universes at the same time. And the members of the Justice League, the members of the Avengers, throughout the story, they figure out that, hey, this is attacking multiple universes at the same time, but it's not multiple versions of him. It's the same one. And within the storyline, I created ways for, Mr. Fantastic and creates works with the Avengers, and because it's a whole world thing. So Fantastic Four involved in it, and Tony Stark and them, they create them, and Batman and the DC guys, find a way to communicate back and forth. And the whole concept is to have a story that crosses over these 2 iconic teams and other characters within the 2 universes, but never actually have them actually cross over, because like they would never like join worlds and fight together, but they both have to work together in their own universes to defeat this villain in their universe at the same time. Otherwise you can't defeat him. And I wrote out like 6 or 7 pages, not like pages like comic pages, but just wrote out ideas for like 6 or 7 pages about how I would work all this out and what I would do with it. And then it became very complex. It's like, well, I'm never going to get to do this. So it's just sitting on my shelf of ideas I haven't brought to hold to fruition. But I still think it'd be a cool concept to have this, crossover series that they're crossing over because they're fighting the same entity, but they're not crossing over because you don't have Superman fighting next to, Thor, but they are, but they're not, I just thought it was an interesting concept to do.
That is interesting. So you need to have DC and Marvel working together, though.
Right, exactly. Go big or go home, right? I mean, why go small with one character when you can use all of them?
I want to control every single character out there. Then I'll make some changes.
Well, it'd be for a miniseries that wouldn't be canon for anything, But I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's kind of a cool idea, though. It's unique. What are the crossover events?
I've always
go ahead.
I would say I've always thought about wanting to do Batman because it'd be fun. Like, I drew 3 issues of Batman, but I'm always like, but I have nothing to bring to Batman. Besides just drawing him, I have nothing creatively to bring and tell a story with Batman because I just don't think of it that way. I don't think of trying to write Batman stories.
Because you've been a fan for so long.
I consume them, but I don't think about. Yeah.
You might be different though. If you had a chance to write for Batman, you might be like, oh my God, I have all these ideas.
Oh, if I had a chance, I would jump on it and do my best and do the best thing I could possibly do. And I'm sure I'd come up with something, but I just don't have I've never thought of it before.
Right. Right. Well, if you had your chance, I mean, what is the one franchise that you would cut your left nut off to write for? One franchise.
Probably Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. I didn't see that one coming.
If I could write or draw for any one franchise and be like, look, and get it and do what I want to do, it would
look
be
what
Turtles.
I did. You'd be like introducing yourself.
That would be my most proud moment.
John Horsley, writer of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, issue number 242.
Right, exactly. I would love, and I actually have a couple of friends who've worked on the Turtles comics, and I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch, you've worked on Turtles, but
What were they doing?
I got a buddy who did cover art for one of the issues, and then another buddy who did cover art and coloring and stuff. And they didn't actually do that. I don't think they did interiors, but they did cover work, which is still, I would love to do a cover for a Turtles book. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be crazy. If you're like, I did the cover art for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on IDW.
Yeah. I used to draw turtles all the time as a kid. Like that was my go-to thing to sketch as a kid, was just these silly turtles that I liked to draw. Because I used to watch cartoons, I read the comic books, watch the movies. I loved it.
That was your jam. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was that your first big comic love? What was your first big comic love?
Wolverine. The first comic book I ever bought off the shelf was Wolverine number 50 by Larry Hama.
Oh, wait, I
and
knew
that's
that.
What filled me in. But then, yep. But really, you say comic love. Really, the first comic book I came obsessed about,
yeah,
and stretched out would have been Turtles, because I watched the cartoon. My uncle gave me the comic books, and I started buying the toys, and I was all in the Turtles as a kid.
That's funny. Mine was Spider-Man and X-Men, the two at the same time, really. Those are the ones I collected the most of when I was a kid and had to read and had, you know what I mean? And I remember my buddy had some old X-Men's. I don't even know where he got them from because he was the only kid. He was the only child, and his parents weren't into him. But he had a bunch of old X-Men comics. They were beaten up, like all get out. And but we read the crap out of those, like constantly. I mean, I probably read the X-Men where they fight the Marauders. I probably read that episode. I probably read that issue 20 times. You know, in one summer.
Actually, now that I think about it, I would love to work on Daredevil too. I would love to work on a run of Daredevil.
Yeah, Daredevil
that'd be a lot of fun.
Because you know what's cool about Daredevil? He's just take away the blindness and like the improved hearing and probably smells as well too.
Senses, his all of his senses are heightened.
Yeah, he's just a guy that wants to do good in his neighborhood. You know?
And he gets his ass kicked a lot.
He does. He's like the original Kick-Ass.
Yeah, he gets his ass kicked a lot.
Kick-Ass.
He doesn't have
Mark
the healing
Millar's
factor. He doesn't heal faster.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mark Millar's version of Daredevil is Kick-Ass. Did you see that?
Pretty much, except for Daredevil, he feels pain, and Mark Millar doesn't.
Right.
Not Mark Millar, but Kick-Ass doesn't feel pain.
Right. Did you see Mark Millar sold his whole thing? I think to Netflix, right? The whole Mark Millar universe.
Millar World. Yeah, he signed an exclusive deal with Netflix. Yeah, he's Netflix exclusive right now.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it's not that he sold the thing. He himself is exclusive. It's like, he can't work on any other movies or other studios because he's exclusive to Netflix right now.
I wonder when the first thing from him is going to come out. Well, it's going to be those Chrononauts.
Yeah.
Did you?
Well, they're doing Netflix is releasing a comic book.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, they're actually publishing their first comic book from him, I believe.
Oh, that's interesting. Did you read Chrononauts by Mark Millar?
I did not, no.
That's pretty cool.
No.
It takes place in the past, in the present, and the future. It's about these two guys. It's about this government agency that came up with time travel. And then these two guys go back in time, and they're traveling through in and out of time, and they basically do a heist and get away in time. It's pretty interesting. It was a fun read.
Yeah. Did you see there? I know what it is. One of the issues, was it issue number 1 actually had on an Easter egg on the cover of the optical illusion that showed the symbol in the watch if you could see it or something. It's some way to see it. 1% of people can see it. A green hourglass in the background.
Yeah, I have that.
Yeah.
I have that issue.
I
don't know.
do. That's cool.
Yeah, I got it when they came out. I don't know if I can see it or not. I have to go back and look. I should look because I know what you're talking about.
See it. I tried.
I never went and looked to see if I could see it. It must be a
yeah.
Was it a spectrum? I mean, what are you looking at? Why is only 1% of the people can see it?
I guess it's like the color spectrum of it. I watched a video on it from NerdSync.
Yeah.
And they explained it. Scott Nicewinder did. I don't remember what he said though. So it was like last year sometime.
Yeah.
But I just looked it up. Netflix first comic book they're releasing is Mark Millar's The Magic Order, which comes out next year.
Oh, I'm more interested to see what kind of movie or animation or something they're going to make. Because I'm surprised they never did Kick-Ass 3. Is it because Kick-Ass 2 did that bomb? I mean, Kick-Ass 1 was a big success, right?
Kick-Ass 1 was amazing. I never saw Kick-Ass 2 though, so I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it, but you know what? I remember Kick-Ass 1, and I remember watching it, and I laughed at it, and I watched it a couple times. I don't remember Kick-Ass 2.
Yeah, I never watched Kick-Ass 1. I watched probably 3 or 4 times, loved it. And 2 came out. I was like, oh, I'll go see 2. Then I never saw it in theaters, and then I just never went and watched it ever after that.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, I haven't seen it at all. I don't know. I just like, I'll watch it later, and then I just never watched it.
Oh, that's crazy. Wow. Yeah. Well, dang, man. We have gone through all of our questions. We talked about Star Wars. We talked movies and old movies and comic books, and We talked about ourselves. It was a good
Anime
show.
porn.
That was episode 50. And
It was. We did, as promised from our poll, we did a live episode and a double episode. So we did both things.
right. We didn't do the rap battle because I can't rap, man. I wouldn't know what to say. I would be like,
Kenric
what?
backed out of the rap battle. So sorry, Casey, no rap. Or who was it? Casey did a rap battle? Somebody said rap. I think it was Casey.
Yeah. Thanks for saying Kenric backed out. I appreciate that. And then
No, I just want to make sure
it's all
that
good,
everybody
man.
knows who was the one who backed down from the rap battle. Not me. I would have done it.
it's your normal passive aggressive bullshit. I got you, man.
Yeah. See, you get me. You get me. It's great.
It's terrible. Oh, that was a good episode.
So we already have the next episode recorded.
Yep.
And ready to go. So we'll put that up next. It'll be the first episode of 2018. Will be episode 51, which is called Star Wars and Video Games, but not Star Wars video games.
Right. Because we have a long conversation about Star Wars, but then we have a longer conversation about video games, but we never talk about Star Wars video games, which is kind of funny.
Exactly. Which is really funny when you look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that'll release sometime in the first week of 2018, and then we'll have regular shows again after that.
That's right.
December was a hard month, as everybody knows.
That's right. Okay. I think that's a show.
That is a show, man. Thank you, everybody who listened to us live. Thank you, everybody who's listening to us not live and recording. We appreciate you. We love you.
Thank you for the support.
You make this awesome to do.
Yeah. Thanks for the support.
Thank you for the questions, the support. Yep.
It's been amazing.
If you're
time.
listening on a recording, or you want to know where you can listen to that, you can listen to us everywhere online, as far as iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Audible, everywhere else RSS go. I'm tired. All right, I'm exhausted. You can follow us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram.
Yep.
All those places.
Visit us on our website at spoilercountrypod.com.
Yep.
And as always, not always, just remember, read more. We're out of here.
Can you still hear me, Kenric? Okay. Yeah, so I just stopped it. The outro is playing. Yeah. No. I stopped. I waited for the outro to finish, and I stopped it. It was an hour and 56 minutes. Yeah. Well, we said we're doing a double episode. Man, so I recorded it through Mixlr as well. Oh, I should probably stop your local recording too, if you haven't already.